This fridge used to be stocked with nothing but beer. Progress.
Positive.
When someone refers to a launcher on a phone, they're basically talking about the look and feel of a phone's user interface. And if we dig down deeper, it has a lot more to do with the home screen and the app drawer. If you don't own a Nexus or a Moto, that probably means you're dealing with that manufacturer's launcher instead of Google's stock version. For example, Samsung has TouchWiz, HTC has Sense, LG has... Does LG have a name for their launcher? Anyway, all these other manufacturers have a launcher that sits on top of Android's stock user interface, UI. And I'm guessing they do this so their phones look different than everyone else's. I don't know, it's still not my cup of tea. But I'll tell you, when I still owned a Sony Z2 and Z3, I still threw a launcher on top of Sony's. So you had Google stock Android, Sony's launcher on top of that, and then I threw Nova launcher on top of that. Anything to get me closer back to that stock Android experience. And that's where Nova came in. Nova's a third-party launcher that is insanely customizable. You can customize the size of the icons on a phone, how many rows and columns of icons you have in your app drawer, the image of an icon, the label of an app, gestures, and there's so much more. I'll show you a little of how I used to set my launcher up in Nova. The nice thing about Nova is not only its customization, but that it's always evolving, and always evolving with Android. Every time there's a new update for Android, the team at Nova gets to work and make sure those features get integrated with their launcher. That's good company practice. Okay, let's take a look. To my left is my Moto X, no launcher, just running a very close version of stock Android. And to my right, my 6P. Now, I've installed Nova on it, and I've already tweaked it in a way to my liking. And since I like stock Android so much, that's kind of how I customized it. There are differences though, and I'll be sure to point them out. The first subtle difference on the home screen is the size of the icons on the dock. On my 6P, I adjusted the size so it's a little bigger than stock. Why? Because I prefer it that way. If you wanted, you could make them even bigger or smaller, or add even more icons in the dock if that's what you wanted. You can even change the spacing. They call it padding in the icons, so that the icons are even more condensed or spaced further apart. Now on the stock launcher, when you swipe right, you get the Google Now page. I'll admit, I've gotten used to it, but when it first showed up on Android, I didn't like it, and I used Nova to get rid of it. So you'll see here when I swipe right, I just have a row of icons instead. What I used to do was actually fill this page up with work and productivity apps, and then when I swiped all the way to the left, I'd fill this page up with social apps and games. Let's go back to the icons all the way here. Let me add Amazon here so it makes more sense. Now you see how Amazon is labeled Amazon Shopping, but it's too long so it doesn't put everything on the screen? That kind of stuff always bothers me. So with Nova, you can change the labels to anything you want. Hold it down, click Edit, and you see where it says App Label? Instead of Amazon Shopping, I'm just going to put Amazon, and you can change it to anything you want. Hit Done, and now it just says Amazon instead. And if I didn't want labels for any of this, you could also remove everything here. And let's say I didn't like the icon, I can change that. And you can download tons of icon packs in the Play Store and customize that however you want. So if I hold it down again, click Edit, click the actual icon. I downloaded an icon pack called Moonshine just to show you guys. Moonshine. They have the Amazon app already predetermined because I guess it knows it's Amazon that you're picking. You can click that, and you don't even have to pick this. You could click whatever you want. You could use like a YouTube icon instead and put it there. Hit Done, and then the icon is changed. Okay, let's go back to both home screens. So this dock on the bottom, on both of these, you have 4 icons, and then 1 for the app drawer. On Nova, mine looks the same, but you can actually add dock pages. Here's what I mean. Let's say I go to these apps here. Down here, I have 3 dock pages, and these are empty right now, but if I wanted to, I could move apps in this dock page. So now I have this as my main dock page. I have one here, and if I wanted to, I could add even more. And just to be clear, I could even add more pages if I wanted to, or I could have none at all so it just looks like stock Android. Okay, let's take a look at the app drawer. If you look at the app drawer here, you can see the stock version has 4 columns. On Nova, you already have 5 columns, and you can change that to even more if you wanted to. You could add more rows, or you could lessen them. And again, you could make these icons bigger or smaller. You could change the labels on all of these. Really, the customization is pretty good here. Now there's so much more to discuss, but let me point out just a few more things. When you hit the home button on the stock launcher, it takes you home. Let's say I'm here, I click home, takes you home. If I keep clicking it, it takes you home. On Nova, I have it set so that when I click home, and then I click home again, it takes me to my settings. Now I just did this because it's a quick shortcut for me. You can have this do whatever you want though. Open any app, Chrome, the camera. You can even add a shortcut so it'll call someone or give you directions to a destination. All right, last thing, gestures. Now gestures is a feature in Nova Prime, and that's their paid app. Everything else I've shown you up until now has been free, and there's still a whole lot more, but I like this app so much I paid for its extra features. And how gestures works is, remember on the Google Now launcher when you swipe right and you get the Google Now page? Well, on Nova, when I swipe right, I don't get that because instead I just put my icons here. But what I did is I have gestures now, so I set it when I double tap anywhere on the home screen. If I use 2 fingers and swipe up, I get into the settings for Nova. If I pinch, I can navigate this way. If I pinch out, I get multitasking. It goes on and on, guys, really. It's a great app. If you have questions, let me know and I'll be happy to help you out. So when people ask me what makes Android so customizable, I show them Nova Launcher. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm talking to a fridge. I'm out of purple stuff.